A cube has edge length of 30. A rectangular solid has edge lengths 20, 30, and L. If the cube and the rectangular solid have equal surface areas, what is the value of L? The cube has a surface area of 6 times the area of one of its faces, which would be 30 times 30. So that's the surface area of the cube. The surface area of that solid is going to be 2 times, let's label this a little bit, L 30, 20, just makes it a little bit easier to understand. 2 times L times 30 plus 2 times 30 times 20 plus 2 times L times 20. So this is 60L plus 1200 plus 40L. Well, this apparently is equal to that. They told me that they have equal surface areas. So equate them. And this side here, that's 6 times 30 times 30 is 5400. And then this side becomes 100L plus 1200. And bring the 1200 over and you get 4200 is 100L. And therefore L is equal to 42. So number 17, the answer is C. The length of a cube edge is 1 centimeter. The surface area of the cube is. A cube, as you are well aware, has 6 faces, correct? And the length of each side, they're saying, is 1. Length times width times height will all be the same for a cube. And therefore, each face, here's one face, will have an area of just 1 times 1. Now there's 6 faces in a cube, so to get the total surface area, we have to look at all 6 faces, so 6 of those areas, and that would be 6 times 1 times 1, and that is just 6 times 1, which is equal to 6. So the total surface area of the cube is 6, and therefore number 11 is E. What is the surface area of a 1 by 2 by 2 rectangular prism? So surface area would be that times 2, because you have to keep in mind the other side. So that looks like a 2 by 1. We got to multiply that by 2. Then add to this side, which would be again a 2 by 1. There's 2 of them. There's one on the other side. So 2 times 2 by 1. And then finally, the side that's a 2 by 2, there's one on the top and there'd be one on the bottom. So 2 of those. So 2 times 2 times 2. So that looks like 4 plus 4 plus 8, and that is 16. Number 12, the answer is E. The surface area of a large cube is 5,400. This cube is cut into a number of identical smaller cubes. Each smaller cube has a volume of 216. How many smaller cubes are there? So the surface area is equal to 6 times the area of one of the faces, right, of a cube. And the area of the face, if the cube has, let's say, side length equal to x, the area of a face, since a face is a square, is just x squared. And they tell you that surface area is 5,400. So solving x squared is going to be equal to 900, and therefore x is 30. So we have a cube that has a side length of 30. And then they cut this cube up into smaller cubes, and each smaller cube has a volume of 216. Okay? So we need to figure out the volume of the big cube. And the volume of the big cube is x to the power of 3. So 30 to the power of 3. And that's 27,000. So 27,000 is the volume of the big cube, and they've broken it up into small cubes that have each a volume of 216. So to figure out how many of those small cubes, you take 27,000 and divide it by the volume of each of those. And if you do that, you get 125. So number 17, the answer is B. The entire exterior of a solid 6 by 6 by 3 rectangular prism is painted. Then the prism is cut into 1 by 1 by 1 cubes. How many of these cubes have no painted faces? Let's draw a cube, and I'm going to draw it fully to explain. So this is my 6 by 6 surface, and then on the other side I've got to draw 3 units. So this is sort of my cube. And then I'm going to cut this into 3s because that's 3. So may not be perfectly drawn to scale, but you guys get the idea. And then this side is 6 by 6. So it's going to be like this. And there we go. So now what I've got to do is I've got to visualize when all of this is painted, what is it going to look like? All right, so here is my cube. It's 6 by 6 by 3. Okay, so first of all, if you find the volume, it's obviously 6 times 6 times 3, and that is 108. Now, if I were to break that up into 1 by 1 by 1 cubes, there'd be 108 of those cubes, correct? Because each of those has a volume of 1. Now they're saying, when you paint this whole thing, how many will have no painted faces? Well, the ones that will have no painted faces are the ones that are inside, right? The ones that we can't see right now. So there's a few ways of doing this. You can either talk about it from the inside or talk about it from the outside, whichever way you feel is easier. I don't know, it's up to you. I think talking about it from the outside is a little bit more visual, so that's what I'll do. Of these 108 faces, there's some that are inside, and therefore they will not be painted. So what I'm going to do is just going to count the ones on the outside, and then I'll subtract that from 108. Well, obviously the ones that are staring at me, so all these guys are going to be painted. I'm just looking at that slab. Well, how many are there? Well, it's 6 by 6. So immediately, that's 6 by 6. I know those 36 cubes are going to be painted. And then by the same kind of thinking, the other slab back here is also going to be painted. And that's the exact same. It's another 6 by 6 slab. So another 36 will be painted. And then it gets a little bit trickier. These guys, this sort of, whatever you want to call it, a column, all these guys, that's going to be painted. How many are there? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 of those. And then similarly on that side, all those guys that I can't see, it's going to be identical. Another 6 of those. Right? So far so good. Hope that makes sense. But then I've got these 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I will have 4 on the bottom, exactly like that. So 4 and 4. So these are the ones that are painted. So what is that? 72 plus 20, right? So that's 92. So 92 will be painted. Okay, well if 92 are painted, and there's 108 that are total, the ones that are not painted are 108 minus 92, and that is 16. So number 18, the answer is 16, and that is choice A. 8 unit cubes are used to form a larger 2 by 2 by 2 cube. The 6 faces of this larger cube are then painted red. When the paint is dry, the larger cube is taken apart. What fraction of the total surface area of the unit cubes is red? All right, well, first and foremost, how many faces do we have if we have 8 unit cubes? Well, each of the 8 has 6 faces, so there's 48 faces. Now, when you paint this whole thing red, each unit cube, how many sides will it have red? Well, just take a look at the diagram. Only the sides that you can see will be painted. The inner sides that you can't see will not be painted. So for each of those cubes, 3 sides will be painted. So we got 8 unit cubes. Each one will have 3 sides that are painted red, and therefore a total of 28 will be red. And they want the fraction, so that's 24 over 48. which is, in lowest terms, 1/2. So number 13, the answer is C. The surface area of a cube is 54. The volume of that cube is. The surface area of a cube is written as 6 times the area of a face of the cube. Now the face of a cube is always going to be a square, right? A cube is basically made up of square faces. So the side, if it's x, the area of the face is just x squared. So 6x squared is the surface area of a cube, and they're told me that it's 54. So solving for this, 54 divided by 6 is 9, and therefore x squared is 9. That means x is 3. Now the volume of the cube is given by the formula x to the power of 3. And if x is 3, it would be 3 to the power of 3, and that, of course, is 27. So number 14, the answer is D. A large 5 by 5 by 5 cube is formed using 125 small unit cubes. There are 3 central columns, each passing through the small cube at the very center of the large cube, one from top to bottom, one from front to back, one from left to right. All the small cubes that make up these 3 columns are removed. What is the surface area of the resulting solid? So we got this 5 by 5 cube, and the central, I guess, column will be either here, it will be here, and it will be here. So those are the spots. And then we're going to basically take out that entire column. So top to bottom, left to right, front to back. And then what's left, we have to calculate the surface area. All right, so the faces, that's pretty straightforward. That's going to be easy. There's 6 faces, and each face will have a surface area of 5 times 5, with this subtracted, which is just a 1 by 1. So that's the easy part. So that's 6 times 25 minus 1, so 6 times 24. Okay. And that is 144. All right, now we got to think about what's inside, and that's a little bit more trickier and not my favorite. It gives me a headache when I have to think about these things, but it's not so bad. When we think about it, on the inside, it will be all the way down top to bottom, right? So all the way down top to bottom is 5, but there's one missing in the very middle. If you can visualize that, there'll be one missing in the very middle where this one, this guy, and this guy meet. There'll be one unit cube missing from the very center. So it's actually not 5 down, it's 4 down, because you have to subtract that one in the middle. And there's 4 sides, one on this side, one on that side, one on that side, and one on that side. So there's 4 sides. Each side has a surface area of 4. So 4 times 4. So 4 times 4. But the same story holds true for this and for that. Exactly what I said. So you then have to multiply by 3, because you're going to do the same thing for that, that, and that. So 3 times 4 times 4, what is that? 16 times 3, which is 48. So I have to add this 144 to the 48, and when I do, I get 192. And I believe that's it. Number 20, the answer is E. A solid wooden rectangular prism measures 3 by 5 by 12. The prism is cut in half by a vertical cut through 4 vertices as shown. This cut creates 2 congruent triangular-based prisms. When these prisms are pulled apart, what is the surface area of one of these triangular-based prisms? Well, let's label this. It's already labeled. I'll just continue to label it the way they've done it. 12. This is 5. I think that should be good enough. The first thing I want to do is calculate that diagonal. And that can be easily done using Pythagoras. And that's going to be 13. And some of you already know a 5, 12, 13 triangle is a right triangle. All right, I think I'm ready to figure out the surface area. So the first one will be the top, the bottom and the top, and those are exactly the same. So it's 2 times 1/2 base times height, where the base is 12 and the height is 5. And then we will calculate that side, which is a rectangle. So that's just a 3 by 12 rectangle. Then this side here, which is another rectangle, it's a 5 by 3 rectangle. And then the last part is this shaded side, and that is what? It's a 3 by 13 rectangle. All right, so 12 times 5 is 60 plus 36 plus 15 plus 39. When you add up those numbers, you get 150. Number 17, the answer is D.